Hey there, everybody. Gen X Man back on a Tabletop Tuesday, a beautiful Tabletop Tuesday, beautiful blue skies. Nice. But I have been remiss. 4 weeks ago, I reviewed West End Games' Imperial Sourcebook for the Star Wars D6 RPG. Then I wandered on down the road talking about dragons, talking about the old gods of Appalachia for the past month. All the while, there on my Star Wars RPG bookshelf sat the beloved Rebel Alliance Sourcebook, just waiting for me to give it a moment. Well, better late than never. Now, this is the revised book for the second edition of West End Games Star Wars RPG. This is the first printing edition from April '94. I could find no copies at all on Amazon, and it's sitting comfortably over $50 on eBay, so it's a pricier book. For our value conscious fans, may I suggest a quick Google search that will certainly provide you with a free PDF copy? So, yeah, owning this baby is going to run you some bucks, much like many of the OSR books these days. It's crazy. Like, I've got a whole library of stuff to review, and I look at these books that were like this one, just a gift from somebody getting out of the hobby, or I bought it for under $5 on eBay decades ago, and now these puppies are well beyond my normal price range, which says to me there's interest in this old stuff, and that makes me smile. Even if the cost of obtaining books I don't have is beyond my finances, it makes me smile because there's people out there still playing this stuff, and it's great stuff, and I'm glad to see that it still survives. And we're going to be covering it all, so just stay tuned, keep coming back. Anywho, this book is divvied up into 10 chapters and presented like the Imperial Source book as a report from an Alliance historian to Mon Mothma. Chapter 1 extensively covers the history of the rebellion against the Empire and diving a bit into Rebel Alliance High Command, which I found pretty neat. It's always nice to have some names in the back of your head for when some protocol droid rolls bureaucracy. Chapter 2 delves into the military, covering the command structure and providing numerous stat blocks for, example rebel units and some example commanders. Chapter 3 opens the door on Alliance intelligence, the structure, the nature, and the operations of the rebels' information gathering arm, which honestly I felt could have been even more extensive than it was because the Alliance lives and dies by its intel. It's not going to win numerically, it's not going to win tactically. It has to have the best intel out there. So, yeah. But this book does an excellent job of it. And of course, you're free to expand it on your own, especially after you're watching Andor. You got a plethora of information to draw from there. So, chapter 4 is where things get fun. The numerous, unique, and cobbled together starships utilized by the Alliance, along with examples and tactics. Chapter 5 goes further, covering the armada of starfighters employed by the Alliance with stat blocks. But more fascinating is the extensive section showing dogfight tactics and scenarios. This was a great section, and I'll tell you why, although you probably already know why if you're watching this video. Anyway, when players have given up the field, they're no longer feet on the ground, they want an exciting, thrilling pew pew pew. They want grown-up version of what we all did as kids, starfighters and various other vehicles all swooping around one another, trying to outmaneuver our opponent and score that fatal hit. This chapter has prime examples of how to make that happen in a way that's satisfying to our adult brains without having to study decades of fighter dogfights from our reality, of course. Now, chapter 6, we go boots on the ground. And let me tell you, if that's your thing, you're going to love this chapter. Numerous examples of military ground maneuvers, a plethora of equipment, exhaustive stat blocks on almost any ground vehicle you can remember and or imagine. This chapter is sweet, and I'm not even a big ground combat guy. So, chapter 7 delves into one of my favorite things about Star Wars, droids, obviously. It doesn't delve a whole lot into tactics or equipment, but it does present a half dozen droid models you can't find in other books. Things like the B1 worker, the espionage version of the 3PO, things like that, things employed by the Rebel Alliance. And it's pretty sweet, even if it isn't the strongest section in the book. So, Chapter 8 has some general information on Alliance base structures, while Chapter 9 delves into what they call support services, what we know today as logistics, how to get the stuff soldiers need, where it's needed. Very important chapter for any group trying to keep the alliance running while the hotshot pilots and the gigantic foot soldiers are out there going pew pew pew. We tend to glorify those aspects of our fantasy war games, sure, but I think everybody knows the absolute vital importance of clean socks and a hot meal as part of any fighting force. This chapter is focused on that. Finally, Chapter 10 wraps things up with some generalized discussion about Alliance recruitment procedures, which, as we all know, can vary wildly from rebel cell to rebel cell. This is kind of the point. As we saw in Andor, if you standardize how you do things, the ISB is going to take you apart eventually. It's simple pattern recognition. But I digress. Now, what do I think of this little gem? I think it's sweet. I'm a rebel at heart. Big surprise to everyone I know. And this book delivers a great deal of bang for its buck. Although that bucket has skyrocketed in the past decade or so. But it has an absolute deluge of play ready information for you to grab and go in any of your Star Wars campaigns. I swear by it, along with the Imperial Sourcebook, and I consider myself very fortunate to own a copy. And but basically, that's all I got for today. I hope my little review of this gem of a book has entertained you. If it has, please consider giving this video a like. YouTube loves it when you do, and it helps my tiny little channel grow. While you're at it, if you'd like to see more of my hillbilly mug talking about OSR gaming and comic books and movies and TV and cartoons and more, please consider subscribing. I put out videos multiple times a week, so there's no shortage of entertainment to be had. Thanks for giving me a moment of your time, everyone. It's a beautiful day. Get out, enjoy some sunshine, drink some water, and as always, have a good one.